Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third party review. In today's video, courtesy of Robot Kingdom, we're taking a look at the latest offering from Keith's Fantasy Club in the form of their STRATOTANKER. This is of course their take on a masterpiece style Octane, the mighty triple changing truck and plane. First impressions, it bears a very good resemblance to the animation counterpart. I do feel for Keith's Fantasy Club really, because they get criticised if they make something too kind of realistic and which strays too far away from the animation model, or if they make something which is pretty much animation accurate, then they get criticised for that. The poor guys can't win, can they? But yes, this is their interpretation of Octane. Now of course this is the second version of Octane that we've had to fit in with the Masterpiece collection, the first being Unique Toys Provider, which in my opinion came up a little bit short. He was good, but not quite there. Do we rate this version any higher? Like most of the KFC and X-Transbot figures, we get the display base, we get a very unhappy alternative face, a screwdriver, a G1 toy style shield, and a very nice firearm with LED light function. Taking a closer look, that's a very good face sculpt, pretty true to his animation counterparts. Obviously he doesn't come with a Decepticon insignia as standard. I just placed one on there. It's a placeholder until Toy Hacks makes an accurate kit for him, but no, they've kept very close to his animation counterpart. We've got the top of the truck section going across here, we've got the lights on the top there, coming down to the waist we've got the circle and whatever shape that's meant to be. Again, this is all very accurate indeed. Coming down to the legs, now the only thing that isn't accurate about the legs is with the animation model this was all one piece, but they've coloured it up to look like it is, so we still get that deep slot coming down, and then we have the double piece sloped feet, not quite as large as they were on the animation model, but still good nonetheless, and this is all die cast. The arms again are very similar. We have that purple at the top broken up by the two-part arm, and then the purple forearms with the off-white hands. And the wingspan, wow, the wingspan is absolutely massive. But again, we have a G1 accurate cut through there with that white breaking up this kind of smoked grey. The hands are pretty much what we've come to expect from X-Transbot and KFC. These are actually getting a lot better over time. These are far less fragile and they sit much better in those joints, and of course none of them are the same size, which is something I really like. I hate it when companies make figures with their fingers all the same size, albeit they are robots, so possibly they had fingers all the same size. The gun, much like a Masterpiece figure, can get into the groove. Boy, you've got to prove your love for me. There we go, that's just in there. We can pull the finger over that trigger and wrap these around, and then wrap the thumb around as well. Just rotating that up and across. There we go, that looks very natural indeed. And there he is with his rifle. We have these tabs on the arms. This is what attaches the shield. Now obviously he never had this shield in the animation, I don't think. Well, I can't recall him using it, but the toy held one nonetheless. We can just peg that on there like so. And there we have him all armoured up to fulfill his job as a Decepticon triple changer. Now straight off the bat, this guy didn't wow me like Blitzwing did. He's Octane. I didn't have that same connection with Octane as a kid. I had the original toy, but it was a bit lackluster. I didn't like the way that the front of the plane folded down to form the feet. It was very static, well, as was most of G1, but Blitzwing kind of did it for me back in the day, as did Astro Train. So when I got this, it's like, oh, okay, it's good. I like it better than Unique Toys Provider. My biggest gripe with Unique Toys Provider was how small he was. He just didn't look right in my masterpiece collection. Now scale-wise, he's still substantially smaller than Blitzwing, but that I'm okay with. I've seen Blitzwing as being a much bigger person, but he's actually a little bit taller than Starscream as well. That was my biggest gripe. Provider just didn't really provide. It just wasn't the size we needed him. Octane is taller than Starscream, which in my opinion is a much better scale. Now, something I was hoping I could pull off was the kind of Ghost of Starscream thing, but unfortunately I think they missed a slight trick there. But I suppose to get everything to work, they can't please everyone. There's nowhere to tab the wings in either, but hey, it was the thought that counted. I thought I'd give it a go. And here we have him alongside Scourge. Again, this is a scale which definitely works. For you size junkies out there, he stands just shy of 9 inches tall. That's about 22.5 centimeters, and weighs in at a more than adequate 471 grams. That's 16.61 ounces. Let's check out Octane's articulation. The head can go left and right. We can look up and we can look down. Downwards motion isn't exactly fantastic, but it's okay, it's adequate. We do get some tilt left and right. The shoulders can come forwards on a lovely ratchet joint. You can come up to the side. This section here is all tabbed in, so they're slightly offset, which is nice actually. I like that. That's quite natural. No butterfly joints on there, unfortunately. Let's remove this shield because it's getting in the way. We do have upper bicep rotation. We do have a double jointed bend on that elbow. Again, not the most attractive of double joints, but it's by no means bad. The wrists can rotate, and we do get the super duper articulation on all of those fingers, and a single ball joint and bend on that thumb. The waist can rotate very, very freely. Hip skirts to the front allow for forwards motion, backwards motion, and ratchets out to the side. We have upper thigh rotation, 90-degree bend on that knee. We get up and down, pivot left and right on the foot, but no left and right rotation. Now, all of this foot is based on this pin. The plastic feels pretty solid, but if anything is going to break, I can see it being this joint. This is going to get the most stress. I like that they put a pin through here, which allows for that pivoting, but the up and down motion really does apply too much pressure on this back piece, in my opinion. Now, the inside of the legs, considering what they store, they don't look that bad at all. We've got the wheel section, we've got the underside of the jet in there, and from the front and the rear, they definitely don't look that untidy. Now, being a jet former, he's always going to have some form of backpack where the wings store. It's not horrendous. It actually does look a bit like a rucksack kind of hanging on there, but again, it's not an atrocious back section. It's quite kibble free, and they've kept it very in keeping with the rest of the figure. Now, Octane will be shipping in his robot mode, so let's start with the robot and get him transformed up into his vehicles. First of all, you want to fold all of the fingers in and compress them down. Open up this tab, rotate the fist around, and then this is going to slide in to this crevice and then bring this piece back up. Now, they included a screwdriver. I was assuming we needed it to change out the faceplate, so I took the head off, but you don't. You just need to give it a little tug and kind of just work it off. It's just pegged in on there. Maybe it's to make it easier to access. I'm not entirely sure, but let's just put the new face on. Look at that! Now that we've changed over the face, it looks very upset that I've started to transform him, doesn't it? Let's untab these arms, just giving a push away from the torso. They bend downwards, lift the head upwards, allows us to get access to this chest piece, which we can then bring forwards, and surprisingly enough, the head folds down into the truck cab, and then we can close that off. Holding on to this waist section, grab the front of the cab and just give that a tug, and that disengages from the waist. Untab this piece here, come to the underside, and this is going to untab and lift up. This is going to untab and lift up, and there we can see the wheels for the truck. Now this is completely optional, but I choose to do it because it makes my life a little bit easier. You press this button, and that actually disengages the lock between the cab and the back of the trailer. That now allows me to get free access to these smokestacks, which we're going to bring around to the side and to the side. We can fold down these wheels like that, and like that, and then these are going to tab in either side of that truck, and then these are going to push into the sides of the lorry. And it's a bit small, but it's not bad. It's not terrible, is it? It's quite reminiscent of his animation counterpart. We're missing the kind of exhaust system which was fitted on the side there, but all in all it's not terrible. I mean, I know it looks small, but I can kind of picture him sitting in there. It's more of a kind of internal movements vehicle as opposed to a tanker. Now please forgive me if my transformation methods are not absolutely correct. Like most of these pre-production samples that have done the rounds, we don't get instructions. I do have a little bit of paint chipping on mine as well, but I think this one was used at a couple of the shows. So just be mindful, it's die cast, it's going to chip. We want to move this piece outwards, and that's just going to untab, so we can bring this out. You want to untuck most of this section in here because we need free range of these wheels here. So what we need to do, we need to open this piece here. That's going to come untabbed. We can then separate this wheel, start to fold this down. As you can see, it's going to hit on here. So what you need to do, there's a runner. You need to just push it along this runner until it's clear, fold it down, and then slide it all the way to the end of that runner, and then fold it down, bring the jet front back in, rotate these legs around. This is going to collapse down, and this small piece here is going to tab it. There's a notch just here that's going to tab in on there. So let's push those in together and bring these in, collapse these pieces down. One and two, rotating these around, bring them up, and they're going to come up to the top, but we need to sort out this mess at the top. I'll make sure the waist is rotated around. So we've got this piece on top. You want to collapse both of these pieces, and there's a tab underneath that's going to attach. Bring this joint down, and as you can see, there is the tow hitch. These are the legs. This is going to just rotate around, bend this hinge upwards, rotate this piece back using that ball socket, tab in the roof panel. These pieces have to rotate around. They're on their own hinge so that they are at the bottom of the truck. Then bring these tabs over, fold these pieces under like this. Make sure these waist flaps are brought down. I'm going to tackle these arms in a second. Right, now this piece is going to fold over, and when it does, we need to actually concertina this wing piece between it, and that's just going to push together and tab in. Like so, and then we can bring this piece down, and that's just going to line up like so, making sure this panel is nice and straight. The wing is already in there. We can just push that down, and that's actually going to tab in on top of the wing. Straighten everything out, bring this tow hitch down. Now we can work on this bottom section. What we've got the hip skirts underneath here. This is going to lift upwards. This one hinges downwards. Fold this hinge up, and that's going to tab in like so, bringing the shoulder into the center. Rotate the arm so that it is now pointing central. If we have tab here, that's going to slot into here, and we have a tab on the fist, that's going to slot into there. You need to bend this arm joint so that it's fully collapsed into this piece, and this one is straight. That now allows both of these joints to line up. This is all going to push in together and look nice and tidy. Push down on these side pods. There's actually a circle tab just underneath here. That's going to tab in to the thighs. We can then open up this tab on the wing, and that's going to rotate around, and there's this small notch just here. That's going to slide in, and that's just going to push in slightly just to square this all off like this. We can then tab this piece in like that, and that's what we're looking at. We've got the arms here, we've got these wheel sections going along. Make sure everything is nice and straight, and then we can connect the cab piece by pushing down on the button, connecting the knuckle to the fifth wheel, and there we have him in his vehicle mode. Not entirely sure if this is what it's designed for, but we do have the pegs either side of the gun, and they do actually line up with the notch on the underside of that truck, and we can just push that in. So the gun does kind of fit under in truck mode, and there we go. I've stored the shield on top, and there we have Octane in his truck mode. And again, just bringing in a civilian. It doesn't look too bad at all. It's actually quite close, in my opinion, to the toy. Obviously, we don't have this chromed section along here, but all in all, it's not bad, considering he is a triple changer and 95% of us are going to store him in his robot mode. I think they've done a pretty good job. It does look like a tanker. I'm not sure if I've got it 100%. I've got like a little notch here, doesn't seem to have anywhere to go, but you know, I got everything in. We've got the wing sections here, so I'm assuming that this is going to fold out and form the tail. It's definitely not rocket science. Transformation wasn't overly difficult. I hope I made that kind of easy to follow. I did find it much easier just disengaging the cab, though. You don't have to do that. It can just sit there, but it does get in the way just a little bit when you're trying to flip things around and turn things, etc. Now, if I move the gun from the base, disengage the truck, pull these all the way back down, and then attach them to the fifth wheel again, there we go. I mean, get some very nice poses as well, although you don't really want to jackknife your truck. And then we bring in some other masterpiece vehicles, and he looks tiny. That being said, when we bring in a Seeker, it doesn't actually look that out of place. Right, now let's try and transform him up into his jet mode, shall we? I'm just going to disengage this. Let's flip these up. This piece here is just tabbed in. We give it a little tug, and that's going to come away. We can bring these around like this. Close this piece off. Close this piece off. These are going to come untabbed and back down. Tab this rear fin together, making sure everything is just nice and secure. Make sure these are up. Separate these leg pieces. We're going to bring the nose cone up and around on both sides. Untab the wings. Pushing up on the wing, we'll just unhinge this piece. Rotate the waist around so it's now on the bottom. Now these pieces are going to tab in on here, but before we do that, we just need to flip these pieces outwards on both sides. Bring the trailer hitch in, and I've just got my finger on the button so we can open up the hitch. That's now on. Now make sure these smokestacks are brought up, over and around inside so they don't get in the way. We can then straighten this off, and that's going to just tab in and lock into place. This is now going to concertina over, and these are going to just tab in on the side panel like so. This underside piece will come up, and that's just going to tab in to the top of the truck roof. We can then now tab all of this piece in. This is going to go up and over, and these are going to tab in together, concertining down. He says, yeah, like that. And then these are going to slide into those tabs like that. Untab these arms from the front of the nose cone. Split the legs open. Slide this across. While sliding this across, you want to fold this piece back. Slide it down. Move the wheels. Bring this up. Slide this down. Then bring these wheels back up. And then we can tab the front of the jet nose cone together and bring these in. These are going to tab in as well. Now we've got this arm flapping around in the wind at the moment. Come to the wing. Now the wing is going to come all the way around, and there's this tab on the back that we used when we had him in truck mode. That's going to come up and that's going to slide into this groove piece. I'm going to tidy all this up once we've done. We can rotate the wing around. And as you can see, we're going to fold this up on this hinge, straighten out this hinge here. It's going to come around, and this is going to fold down like this. Compress that flat, then this is going to come in and tab into position like so. Rotate the arm around, bend the elbow, rotate this piece, and then there's a slot just here and a tab there. Those are going to come in and compress together, just lining up, he says. There we go, that's tabbed in. Make sure this is all collapsed. Tab this piece in. As we bring these jet engines in, there's a sliding tab just on the underside there that holds all of this into place. And if we look to the underside of the wing, there's a groove in there. And these engines should, with a little bit of energon and a lot of luck, tab in to the underside of that wing. That's now tabbed in, and let's just tidy up all of these panels, making sure that these are tucked in to the legs to keep it nice and tight. And we can fold these little wheels upwards like this and like this, and we've got these wheels at the front. This is going to tab in here and together, and there we go. There is his rather large jet mode. We can still tab the shield onto the top if you choose to. Now I think the jet is probably the weakest of the three. I believe I've got all of this tabbed in correctly as it should be. Excuse me if it isn't absolutely perfect though. Like I said, it's all guesswork at this time with no instructions. You know, I like how it looks. It definitely reminds me of the G1 toy. It's got that sort of realism that the G1 toy has, but we do have a little bit of a hollow section underneath here. But that being said, everything did tab in. It wasn't overly complex, but at the same time it wasn't a fun transformation. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm never going to transform him up again. He's going to be in robot mode for the best part, but it's fairly substantial. It's a fairly big bot. Here he is alongside Starscream. Now obviously you can see that scale doesn't really work, considering he's what is he, a jumbo or something like that. But what are they going to do? If they manage to get all three modes in scale with everything, then they deserve a medal. I think they've done a pretty good job considering. Let's come into the underside, make sure this is pressed in. We have this groove here. That's just going to slide in. And there we have him mounted like he's flying. Let's just tuck his landing gear back in. And the landing gear back in on this side and on this side. And there we go. There we have Octane flying up yonder. Really hoping that they give us an Astro Train. As much as I love the transportation captain, he is just too fragile and too small. And they've already given us a very good Blitzwing and Octane, and here's hoping that Astro Train does come and he is just as good as these two. I know this isn't going to be to everybody's taste, but they do cater for a very large audience with this piece, and I actually really enjoyed messing around with it. It's different. It certainly comes across as a better design to the Unique Toys provider, but if you have provider and you're happy with him, maybe you don't need this. But you don't have an Octane in your collection and you want one that scales remarkably well in robot mode and does look the part, then this could be the Octane for you. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, share, and of course subscribe. I've included a link to my second channel, which concentrates on KO figures and of course Chinese original figures. That's Benscollectables. Yes, that's a very original name, and I've included a link just up here. Until next time, from myself and STRATOTANKER, thanks for watching. Goodbye.